I want you to hear me clearly, because nothing I share with you tonight is theory. It is law. Imagining creates reality. This is the great secret that has been delivered through the ages under many names, in many languages, but always the same truth. As you imagine, so shall you become. Your life is the sum of the assumptions you have dared to make and persist in. Not the wishes you idly entertain, nor the dreams you allow yourself only when it is safe to do so, but those assumptions you accept as natural. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you assume. This is why so many continue in circles, begging life to change, pleading with circumstance to be kind, when all the while they hold within them the cause of what they see. If you would change your life, you must begin with yourself. You must begin with the assumption that you already are the one you desire to be. You do not beg for what you already have. You do not chase after what is yours by right of consciousness. You simply live as though it were already so, and the world, obedient to the law, reshapes itself to mirror that assumption. This is not idle fancy. This is the precise mechanism of creation. The world is yourself pushed out. Everything you encounter confirms what you believe about yourself and your relationship to the world. You might say, but look at the facts. I cannot deny what is in front of me. And I say to you, do not deny it, but do not accept it as final. Facts are nothing but old assumptions made visible. They are not creative. They cannot produce new things. They only echo your prior imaginal acts. To remain bound by facts is to condemn yourself to repeat them endlessly. If you want to change the future, you must leave the facts behind and assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This is what is meant by repentance. It is not remorse or regret. It is a radical change of mind. You turn away from what you do not want and turn toward that which you choose to embody. You say within yourself, I am that now, and persist in that knowing until it feels natural. You will know you are successful when you no longer think of your desire as something to get, but as something you already are. Many will tell you this is delusion. I tell you it is the only truth, because this world is not the cause. It is the effect. The cause is within you, your assumptions, sustained and accepted. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot assume lack and hope for abundance. You cannot assume rejection and expect love. Life will always yield you what you have dared to assume. So I ask you, what are you assuming right now? Are you assuming limitation, failure, difficulty? Do you see yourself as a victim of circumstance? Then you will meet with evidence to confirm those assumptions. But you can choose differently. You can say within yourself, I am free, I am secure, I am loved, I am prosperous. Not because the world tells you it is so, but because you claim it in consciousness. And in claiming it, you set the law in motion. For what you assume, you create, and the world will reflect it in its own time and way. Do not ask how it will come to pass. The how is not your concern. Your only task is to live from the end to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and dwell in that state. If you will do this faithfully, the world must obey. It is compelled to mirror your inner state, because imagining creates reality. Pause here and reflect with me. How many times have you argued for your limitations? How many times have you rehearsed the worst, convinced yourself of failure, anticipated rejection, and then wondered why life seems hard or unfair? Your inner conversations shape your world. If you want to know what you are assuming, listen to yourself. What do you say when you are alone? What story do you tell yourself about who you are and what is possible for you? These are not idle words. They are seeds planted in the fertile ground of your mind. And every seed bears fruit after its kind. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation, do not be surprised when they bear bitter fruit. But you can plant new seeds today. You can choose new assumptions. You can deliberately imagine the best for yourself and others. You can speak to yourself in words of confidence, love, and success. And if you persist, if you dwell in that state until it feels natural, the harvest must come. For this is law. Imagining creates reality. Do not say, I will imagine once, and if nothing happens, I will give up. That is not faith, that is doubt. The man who truly believes does not check the world for signs of failure. He knows that what he assumes within must appear without. And so he remains loyal to his unseen assumption, even when the facts deny it. This loyalty to the unseen is faith. It is the confidence that the imaginal act has set in motion a chain of events that must lead to its fulfillment. You may ask, how long will it take? And I say to you, it will take as long as it takes for your assumption to feel natural. When your desire feels like something you are, not something you seek, it must manifest. The world will move to reflect your inner change. You see, creation is finished. All that you could ever desire already exists in imagination. You do not create it out of nothing. You select it. By assuming its reality, you call it forth from the unseen to the seen. You occupy that state, and the state expresses itself. Your entire journey is the movement from one state of consciousness to another. States are like rooms in a great house. You can move from one to another by changing what you accept as true. No one can keep you in a state you refuse to occupy. But you must leave the old state behind. You cannot bring it with you. You cannot hold on to old fears, old doubts, old stories, and expect to see a new world. Repentance, true repentance, is dying to the old state. It is saying, that is not me anymore. I am this now. And living from that new identity. Most will not do this because it requires discipline. It requires that you watch your thoughts, your words, your reactions. It asks you to become master of your inner world. But there is no other way. No one else is imagining for you. No one else can assume for you. You are the operant power. You are not here to change others. You are here to change yourself. And in changing yourself, you will see the world change accordingly. For the world is yourself pushed out. So if someone treats you with indifference or hostility, do not rush to blame them. Ask instead, what in me believes this is natural? What assumption of rejection or unworthiness do I still hold? And change that assumption. Assume you are loved. Assume you are wanted. Assume you are respected. And persist in that assumption. Do not argue with appearances. Appearances will harden and shift to reflect your new state, but only if you remain faithful to it. Faithful imagining is not a single act. It is a way of living. It is the commitment to occupy the state of the wish fulfilled, to dwell in the end even when every sense contradicts it. Your senses will tell you it is not so. Your reason will argue against it. Others may mock you, but you are not moved, because you know the truth. imagining creates reality. This inner certainty is not arrogance. It is humility before the law. You are acknowledging that the law is impersonal, that it delivers according to assumption, and that you cannot sow one seed and expect another to grow. So you choose carefully what you sow. You do not sow fear if you want peace. You do not sow doubt if you want faith. You do not sow hatred if you want love. Instead, you deliberately plant the seeds of your choosing in imagination, and you water them daily with sustained assumption. Do not rush the harvest. Do not dig up the seed to see if it is growing. Trust the process. Allow it to gestate in the dark, unseen depths of your mind, and know that when the time is right, it must break forth. Because imagining creates reality. When you lie down at night, let your last thought be from the end. Feel yourself already the one you desire to be. Hear what you would hear, see what you would see, feel what you would feel were it true now. Let that assumption carry you into sleep. For the subconscious, unguarded in sleep, will accept this assumption as fact, and your world will begin to shape itself accordingly. When you rise in the morning, do not abandon your assumption. Carry it with you throughout the day. When doubt arises, gently return to your chosen state. When fear speaks, answer it with faith. When old patterns reassert themselves, forgive yourself in return. This is the practice. This is the discipline. It is not difficult in concept, but it requires vigilance, because you will always express what you assume. There is no other way. You may ask, but what if I do not feel it real? What if I cannot believe it fully? And I say to you, begin anyway. You do not wait for perfect faith before you plant the seed. You plant it, and faith grows with use. Imagination is spiritual sensation. When you imagine, you are exercising your true creative power. Even if it feels weak at first, even if it seems artificial, persist. Practice it as you would any skill. You will find over time that what once felt unnatural becomes natural. What once felt false begins to feel true, because you have shifted your dwelling place in consciousness. You are not pretending, you are assuming. Pretending is knowing it is false. Assuming is accepting it as true despite appearances. This is the great act of faith. To call that which is not seen as though it were seen, and to persist in that assumption until it hardens into fact. We are told in sacred writing, all things are possible to him who believes. But belief is not begging. It is not hoping. It is assuming the truth of the unseen. To believe is to feel yourself already in possession of your desire, to live from that end. Your inner world must become more real to you than the outer world, for the outer world is only the echo of your inner world. If you can master this, there is nothing you cannot be, do, or have, because you will know that everything proceeds from imagination. When you imagine lovingly for yourself, you transform your world. When you imagine lovingly for another, you bless them. There is no limit to your power except the limit you place upon it by your assumptions. So I urge you to test this law. Do not take my word for it. Choose a desire. Define it clearly. What would you see if it were true? What would you hear? What would you feel? Enter into that scene in imagination. Make it vivid. Make it real to yourself. Repeat it until it feels natural, and then drop it. Let it go. Trust that it is already accomplished in the unseen. This is planting the seed. Your assumption is the seed. Persistence waters it. Time gestates it. Circumstance delivers the harvest. But the creative act is complete at the moment of assumption. The rest is fulfillment. Do not force it. Do not strain. This law is effortless in its working. The farmer does not scream at the seed to grow. He trusts the soil. He knows the principle is sure. So too must you trust imagination. It is the soil of your world. It never fails to bring forth what is sown. But you must sow deliberately, most sow carelessly. They imagine failure, disappointment, rejection, lack, and they live among those thorns. But you can choose your harvest. You can imagine the best for yourself and others. You can occupy the state of success, of love, of abundance, and you will find the world reshaping itself to match that inner shift. This is not magic. It is law. You may not know all the bridges of incident that will carry you there. That is not your concern. Your concern is only to remain in the state of the wish fulfilled. When doubts arise, as they surely will, do not condemn yourself. Gently return. Reassume the state. Again and again return. This is persistence in imagination. This is the true work. It is not in chasing, pleading, or forcing the world. It is in assuming the end and letting the law work through you. You are told, ask, believing you have received, and you will. Not believe you will receive, but that you have received. This is living from the end. This is the secret. This is the law of assumption. Remain in the end. See yourself as already in possession of your desire. Speak from that place. Act from that place. Respond to life as one who already has what they asked for. This is not arrogance. It is the humility of recognizing the law. You are not making anything happen by force. You are yielding to the truth that all creation is finished. You are selecting, by assumption, the reality you wish to experience. Do not concern yourself with the opinions of others. They will see only the outer effects, not the inner cause. But you will know. You will know that what you assume with feeling and persist in must become your world. You will find you no longer argue with appearances. You no longer plead with life. You simply assume, and the world, obedient to the assumption, rearranges itself. You will discover an ease, a lightness, because you will have shifted your sense of causation from the world to yourself. You will have accepted responsibility for your world. Not blame, but responsibility. Blame divides and weakens. Responsibility empowers. It says, if I created this, I can create differently. You will no longer fear circumstances. You will no longer wait for permission to be happy, successful, loved. You will grant it to yourself in imagination. And in granting it, you will see it reflected in your world. This is true freedom. It is not freedom from conditions, but freedom to choose your assumptions about them. You can assume meaning that empowers you. You can assume identities that serve you. You can transform your concept of self. And in transforming self, you transform everything. Because there is no one to change but self. You may think this is difficult. It is only unfamiliar. But with practice, it becomes your natural way of being. When old doubts return, you do not fight them with violence. You see them for what they are, remnants of old assumptions. You do not fear them. You simply turn away. You return to your chosen state, again and again, until it feels like home. You will see bridges of incident unfold. Paths you could not have planned will appear. People, opportunities, and events will move to fulfill your assumption. You will call it coincidence, chance until you see the pattern, until you recognize the law. And then you will understand that imagining creates reality. Your imagination is not idle fantasy. It is the workshop of God. It is the place where all creation begins. When you assume, you create. When you persist, you manifest. The law does not judge what you assume. It simply reflects it. If you sow limitation, it yields limitation. If you sow abundance, it yields abundance. This is justice. This is certainty. This is freedom. So choose carefully. Do not abdicate this power. Do not let the world dictate your assumptions. Decide for yourself what you are, who you are, what is true for you, and live from that decision. When you imagine the best for yourself, you elevate the world. When you imagine lovingly for others, you participate in redemption, because there is no separation in consciousness. The world is yourself pushed out. If you wish to see change, you must be willing to change. If you want to experience love, you must assume you are lovable. If you want abundance, you must assume you are abundant. Not tomorrow. Now, in this moment, because there is only now in imagination. The past is dead except as you revive it. The future is an image you create. You are always imagining. The question is, are you imagining wisely, deliberately, lovingly? You are told to pray believing you have received. This is the method. You claim it within. You feel it real. You dwell in that end. And the world must show forth your assumption, because imagining creates reality. Remember this always. There is no power outside you to save you or condemn you. The power is within. It is your imagination. Honor it. Use it wisely and transform your world. Because there is truly no one to change but self. And when you change self, you change everything.